So I'm just gonna go back and to that previous post in regards to that quote. And it goes about like this: if you don't believe in miracles, perhaps you've forgotten that you are one. So the emphasis was on the word you, and doesn't say the author's name. And I'm just going to interpret that from a pranic healing lens and from a scientific perspective as someone who's studied energy, healing, and science. So as a pranic healer, I've watched people recover from anxiety, trauma, chronic fatigue, psychological and physical ailments, and not because of some magic pill, but simply because of energy. So it's kind of break it down the entire process. Let's go with a simple example. Let's say you get a paper cut. After a while, it heals. Another one, let's go through something that could be quite emotional and psychological. For example, you go through a heartbreak and your heart essentially keeps beating. Let's go with simply anxiety. Let's say you feel anxious, but you still essentially breathe and you walk and you connect. So you're still doing certain activities, even going through a depletion of energy in various forms, whether it's psychological, physical, mental, and even when you sleep. For example, your cells regenerate, your brain sorts through the emotions, and your body recalibrates. It does it by itself. And not just because of biology, in my opinion, it's actually a miracle in motion. That's quite miraculous that all of those things are actually happening while we're not even thinking about it. It naturally happens. And so when I was teaching psychology at a school, we did talk about neuroplasticity. Okay, it's quite a mouthful of a word, but neuroplasticity. And what it does, it shows your brain rewiring itself. Shows how your brain rewires itself naturally at a young age, even when you're older. And your entire cellular system replaces itself every 7 to 10 years. Your thoughts, they release chemicals that shape your reality. So all of this is studied under the umbrella of psychology, and it shows how neuroplasticity actually works. If you want to look more into that, I can put in a reference where you can look at it. And what actually powers all of that, like what actually powers that entire process of neuroplasticity, that's essentially energy, life force, and vitality. So in pranic healing, we call it the energy body, and it's in fact real. Science has actually proven the energy body to exist. And I'll put a link into that as well. And it reflects everything happening in your physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual life. And so when that energy is blocked, you're feeling stuck, you're feeling tired, you're feeling unwell, and eventually it actually leads to a physical or psychological illness. I'll give you an example: cancer. Okay? So just keeping an open mind here. But when it's cleansed and when it's balanced, healing actually flows. And so just removing all that congestion, healing is able to flow. And essentially you're able to feel lighter, clearer, and more you. And so that's where I've come down to see that word you, more you, as in you as being the miracle. So maybe the miracle isn't something you're waiting for. Maybe it's been inside of you all along. So it's kind of interesting, especially how the emphasis is on you. And the fact that you're actually still here, you're looking at this, you're still growing, and you're choosing love over pain, that, in my opinion, is actually a miracle. And you know, you don't need to actually become one. You just need to remember that you already are a miracle. And so if you're ready to reset your energy, my inbox is open. Okay? So it's kind of fascinating and seeing how, like, we're all miracles. We forget that we are a miracle. When we wake up, you know, all of our emotions, our energy body gets clouded of what's going to happen today. And so we sort of actually forget, wait a second, you know, we forget, and, you know, because we get caught up in the matrix. And, you know, coming back to that kind of realization that, you know, you are, in fact, a miracle. So, yeah, if you are feeling unwell, if you're feeling sick in any way, you can always DM me, and I can actually help alleviate that suffering and point you in the right direction as to how you could actually empower your life and become a healer for yourself and your family if you want to. But yeah, that's my interpretation of that quote from the other day, coming from a pranic healing lens and from a psychological lens as well, considering I've taught psychology as well at a high school level. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. What's your opinion? What's your thoughts about that quote? If you don't believe in miracles, perhaps you've forgotten that you are one. All right, Toulouse.